Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Vobe show with me, Richard Vobes, here on the 20th. Is it the 20th? What time is it? Is it 8 o'clock? Yes, it's 8 o'clock. Hello, I'm Richard Vobes. Welcome to another exciting show. Here in Worthing, in West Sussex, at the foot of the South Downs, the edge of the English Channel. And we are beaming to wherever you happen to be on whatever part of the world. And how exceedingly exciting and lucky is that? I don't know how we do it. This, apparently, I was phoned up by the lovely Nigel Sadler, who said, "Here, Richard." I said, "What, Nigel?" "Here, Richard." I said, "What, Nigel?" He said, "Here, Richard." "What?" "Put your ear to the phone, you'll be able to hear me." "Oh, sorry. Yes, what?" He said, this is show 36 in the run that we've done since lockdown without a break. 36, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? 36, 26, 36, who knows what it is. Anyway, welcome along. We have been doing this every day since the lockdown. I'm on a holiday! But apparently I'm not allowed one. Apparently I can't go on one. Apparently I can't leave the house. So there we are. We've got to carry on as best we can. Anyway, hello to the lovely Julia, to the lovely Dan Wall, to Audrey, to Judith. Thank you, Judith, for all your lovely hard work. To John Richardson, to Ed Loud, to Kevin Hall. Hello, Richard. Kevin here. Hello, Kevin. Richard here. Andy Dalgleish, Roy Ballinger. Hello, Nigel Sadler. Hello, Nigel. 36, 36 today. Ernie and Philip Hammond and Andy Stacey and Josephine Stutter and, Sutter, is it? Not Stutter. I did put the T in the wrong, yes. Anyway, Ron Langley, Andrew Norris, Watto Vobsters, lovely to see you all. David Sargent, and Days of Yore, and who else? Paul Smith, Ernie, I've said Ernie. Cuddly Toy, Jeff Kellison. Let's find out. Jeff Kellison, calling Jeff Kellison. Where are you today? I think it's time we had a Jeff Kellison call in if he's got 5 minutes. Give us a call on the old number. There it is, 0793 4746 790 is the number to call. Gloria Stagg, hello to you, Gloria Stagg. Lovely to see you. Thank you all for coming in. Chris Venables and Stephen Musco. Hello, Stephen. Welcome along. Now, I'm determined to get all the videos in today. We don't have a huge amount, but we do have some that are missing from yesterday, so we will crack into there. How are you? What have you been up to? Have you been down to the fun fair today? I was very tempted, but actually I did pop out and did another walk in a different direction instead. So I'll have to leave that for another day. Turbo Stream, lovely to see you. And Mike Dixon, good evening to you. Fantastic stuff. We have 61 watching, 19 likes, 36 show. If we could get up to 36 likes on the show 36 in this run of non-stopness, would be fantastic. And what about everybody seems to be out and about enjoying the sunshine today, which is lovely to see. I did go down, I walked by a stream today, by a lovely little stream. I don't want to say where, I don't want to give it away until it comes out tomorrow. Lovely little stream. Went in my kayak, actually. I was kayaking along like this, minding my own business. Went out, got onto the ferry, went over to France, had a lovely time, spent a few things, came back with cases and cases of wine in case I needed them, but I tend not to drink, so I didn't need any yet. Jeff Kellison says, can't call right away. I've got 58 miles to go and I have to pick this load up before 3. Do not stop, Jeff. Please, if anybody's on the highway that he is on, get out of his way. Just get right out. He's got to get there by 3 o'clock. His foot is well and truly down. He's on this 75-ton truck or 75 foot or 75 metres. I don't know what it is. Bloody great big long truck. Bam, bam. Fixed at the wheel like this. Everyone's weaving in and out, dodging, cars flying over. The police can't catch him, and he's getting down. He's got to get over the bridge, over the river to the other side, and he's going to make it into the next state, and he's got to get there by 3. So we wish you luck, Jeff. Good luck, sir. Well done. Just keep going. Anybody gets in your way, if the Amex train comes through, plows straight through. That's what we want. Good man. Turbo Stream says he's been in the garden today. More video shoots this week. Hopefully fantastic. We do look forward to them, I must say. People have been very brilliant. Linda Kane says, I cannot believe the fair is running. Well, it's not actually running. Well, I haven't heard it running. Imagine it going. You have 20 likes now. I just gave you a thumbs up. Oh, I've got 37. We've gone over the edge. We have just gone, woo, over the edge, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, just to let you know, before the show started, I tend to sort of bung on a bit of music, get myself in the mood, because normally I come into the show, as you can imagine, into the studio here, as you can probably picture, very long face, feeling fed up, miserable as sin, going, oh dear, not again. Have I got to talk to all these people and make energy and be full of verve and all this? You can imagine that's me, can't you imagine exactly how I am? And I usually bung in a bit of music and what have you. It wasn't really doing it. I listened to a bit of Lemon Jelly, it was lovely. And then I thought, do you know what I need? I need a bit of Will Hay, Moores Marriott, and the other chap, whose name I completely forgotten at the moment, whatever his name is. And I've been listening to a little bit of Will Hay on the thing. Windbag the Sailor is the one that's coming up next on the...
That's the trouble, you see. I think there's something funny going on.
What do you mean?
Well, I think that after I tell them which way to go, they all sit and go somewhere else. I don't think we're going to Norway at all.
Why don't you ask the mate?
No, I don't want to do that, because if I did, he'd think I don't know where I am.
Well, you don't know, do you?
No. What?
You don't know, do you? No. Oh, you've got to love Will Hay. It's just absolutely hilarious. Put me in a fantastic mood. There is a thing, my top 10 Will Hay comedy moments, little scenes that somebody put together. 16,672 views, went up on the 25th of April 2018. And if you like Will Hay, I thoroughly recommend it. It's just hilarious. Anyway, there we go. How funny is that? You don't know, do you? No. I don't know when they were made. 1930 something. Same time that English Journey was being written by good old what's his face, whose name I've completely forgotten. J.B. Priestley. And we've only got 2 more readings to do, and we've finished the book. And I need to think of another book. People have made suggestions, and some of them are good. I've been trying to, but I've got to have them on my shelf, and I want to have it in a book form. Nigel did suggest, or somebody suggested, no, not Nigel, somebody else suggested one that I can download, but to read it like this or on a thing, no, I need it in a page form. So anyway, there we go. So that's it. What's with the Harris Fun Fair isn't allowed out, says Philip Hammond. The Harris Fun Fair. No, poor old thing. Turbo, thank you. Turbo Stream says Smokey and the Bandit. Yes, there we go. 75 metres. Crikey, that is a 3-carriage train length. Yeah, is it 3-carriage train length? That's the length of Jeff's. You know, they've just tagged on one after the other of whatever length they normally are. 75 metres. Yeah, it's like a train. Ron Langley says, where's the fair? Where's the fair? It's down in Homefield Park, if you want to nip down there. Well, I don't know whether they're running or whether they're just resting. I saw it yesterday. To be honest, I haven't been down there today because I went somewhere else. But I did see them yesterday. Michael says, what's lemon jelly when it's at home? What's lemon jelly? Lemon jelly is I'd love to play a bit of lemon jelly, but I'll probably take it. Hang on. Oh no, that's here's a bit of lemon jelly. But if I play too much, the old YouTube thing will come in and think we're doing something dodgy.
I'll do any bit from you. I may not know, but I'm jolly soon going to find out. Come here, where are those books of that school atlas of yours?
There they are.
I've just got them. Anyway, it's just if I get bored, you see, I can sit there and watch. Anyway, shall we? No one's ringing, so shall we? Yes. Let's go into have it, because we didn't get round to it. We've got some very fine videos here, fine videos. Let's start, ladies and gentlemen, with Ed Loud. Ed Loud produced this wonderful video, fantastic video, and we're going to have a watch of it now. I was supposed to put it out yesterday. I apologise, Ed, that we didn't get round to it, but we will today. It's going to kick off and set the mood. Ed, over to you.
Hello, everyone. It's Ed here, and you've caught me on another walk. This time I'm just a stone's throw from the busy town of Eltham. At the start of my walk today is one of these beautiful old red phone boxes. Now, it's a bit tatty and needs a bit of love, but it's a piece of our heritage and I love these old red phone boxes. The best thing about it, it still works. I kid you not. Follow me. Into the phone box. I've got a dial tone and everything. Absolutely brilliant. I love these old red phone boxes. Come with me now as we go on a walk somewhere rather special. Behind me is Eltham Palace. Eltham Palace is a great example of 1930s Art Deco style. It's also a former royal residence which is looked after by English Heritage. Behind Eltham Palace is King John's Walk, an ancient right-of-way which forms part of the Green Chain Walk. You almost wouldn't believe you were in London, a few hundred yards away from a very busy town centre with thousands of people. Just behind Eltham Palace stables at the moment, it's a glorious part of my walk with some lovely views, and it's quite good if you like horses as well. Not passing too many people, just a few dog walkers, the odd runner keeping fit. See what I mean? I'm informed the path is named after Prince John of Eltham. Born in Eltham Palace in 1316, son of Edward II. In times of old, this long path led down onto the hunting grounds below. There is some spectacular landscape, and on both sides of the path are fields with horses and even some donkeys and mules. My grandfather Phil particularly loved this walk, often saying how it felt like the countryside to him. Towards the end of his life, I was taking our picture together on one of our daily walks on this very path. He informed me that he had thought of a way to make the photo better, and asked me to take the picture again. The improved results speak for themselves. Just walking in this beautiful green space makes me feel glad to be alive. It's time for me to say goodbye and continue my walk. I'll leave you here and let Richard continue to entertain you with the excellent Vobes show. Farewell for now.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen? How about that? I think there is competition on the way. Well done, Ed. That was brilliant. Loved the very purposefulness of your presentation style. How you go direct to those animals, straight up, no qualms. I'm stroking his head, and it was lovely. How fantastic! Whereas I would be ever so nervous. Hey, watch it. We'll watch it. You're gonna take my arm off? Yeah. No, that's absolutely amazing. Keep them coming, Ed. We love it. We love it. I know it's difficult in lockdown. Tell me about it. We had someone today. I don't know if anybody saw the video that I put up this morning, which was about going round Ferring. Lovely place, Ferring. Very beautiful, these old places. And of course, I missed out. People were saying, "Oh, you should have gone south. You should have gone south. There's lots of lovely old buildings further south." It's like, yeah, all right. I only had 10 minutes, and I chose that area. Another time, I'm going to go south, go down to the Bluebird Cafe. But so that was lovely. I don't mind that at all. It's great. People are encouraging this. I'll come back and do the other end. Perfect. But we did have somebody who was on a mission, who was absolutely on a mission. No, Richard, you shouldn't get out of the place. You shouldn't get out of bed. You shouldn't even breathe. What are you doing? Don't even put your face up against the window. On my personal account, on the Bald Explorer account, and on the local Ferring account, this person was like, "This bloke, Richard Vobes, oh, he's not local. Oh, no, he's not only is he not local, he lives in and he's going all over Sussex. He's going everywhere. Oh, I wish you'd be in lockdown." This is a bit laughable, really, but there we are. You're a naughty, naughty boy. It's a shame. Anyway, so well done, Ed. We loved all of that. People are loving all of that. I was wearing jeans and trainers and didn't even have my tie on, he says. You look very smart, though. You do look smart. You do look smart in a jacket, young man. Must be the beard and a jacket. I think that's what makes it. Glenn Johnson says, sorry I'm late, peeps, but I'm here now. We can start the show because Glenn Johnson has arrived, which is fantastic. Well done, Glenn. Lovely to see you. Morton Lewis says, the trouble with this, Richard, is you're going to get loads of imitators, yet fear not, there is only one Vobes. Thank you very, very much. No, I think it's absolutely fine. You know, I enjoy it. I think... do you remember the... was it the not the Goodies, the Monty Python, who did the sketch with... oh, golly, I can see him. And there was loads of him. And what was his name? Who used to do the documentaries with glasses and the moustache? Oh, not... I can't think of his name now off the top of my head. I mentioned it, didn't I? And he used to do documentaries in the early black and white days, and Monty Python did a sketch of him, and they did loads and loads of him. And that's what I imagine will happen very soon, is there'll be videos where people are wearing little bald caps and doing videos, impressions of the Vobes. Why not? Why not indeed? Alan Wicker, yes, thank you so much. Days of yore. The Alan Wicker. Some people won't get that. But yeah, wasn't he great? And those microphones, those that they used to have, which were really long things like this, and he'd hold it down here. Hello, I'm Alan Wicker. It was all very, hello, I'm Alan Wicker. It was the man who talks through his teeth like this. It's Wicker's world. Hello, I'm Alan Wicker. Something like that. I'd have to watch an Alan Wicker. I wonder if I can find an Alan Wicker. Where's my thing? An Alan Wicker. Hello, because it's very... I don't want to go into David Frost. Hello, good evening and welcome. Alan Wicker. How are you spelling Wicker? It's with an H, isn't it? That's it, Alan Wicker. Let's just get a bit of Alan Wicker for you. Let's see where we got... This is old Alan Wicker. I want a young... Here we go. Alan Wicker talking about Papa Doc.
I just heard the most eerie story.
Eerie
Which does,
story.
to a degree, illustrate the complete unpredictability of President Duvalier. And it may be caused, I've heard it said, because he is a diabetic.
No, that was not... The sounds on that was... Alan Wicker, journalist. Oh, don't tell me his name. Alan Wicker interviews Jim Dale. Jim Dale? Do you remember Jim Dale?
Yet one of them seems to manage. Jim Dale, from Rothwell in Nottinghamshire, was a pop singer on the BBC in the 50s, then the good-looking one in that giggle of Carry On films, too humorous to mention.
Jim Dale, blimey. Oh, yeah. Was he a pop singer, Jim Dale? Didn't know that. It's funny what you find out when you're just doing Alan Wicker impressions. Alan Wicker was a smooth-talking man. There we go. Remember Fife Robertson? Oh, no, Fife Robertson. What was he like? That was more Bruce Forsyth than David Frost. That's very true. Hello, good evening, and welcome to David Frost here. Hello, good evening. Nice to see you. No, good game. All right, my love. Let's look at the old floorboard. Mr. Grimsdale, Mr. Grim. They all sort of merge into one after a while, don't they? Jack Hargreaves. Yes, I remember seeing Jack Hargreaves and those, but I couldn't even start to do an impression of him. I met someone pretending to be me at a gig in America, says Glenn Johnson. Really? How exciting. Where in Sussex? I said, I love all these people dictating their version of the rules. I'm sure well-intentioned, says Steve Pilfold, but actually it's nothing to do with them, as long as you're obeying the actual law of the land. Quite right. Quite right. I say, absolute shower. Turbo Stream says, thanks, I've done... Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on, it's zipped up my screen. There are some... Hang on. Morton Morris says, there are some real Orwellians about Richard. They would have staffed concentration camps 60 years ago. Actually, that's a really interesting point. It is funny how some people really do enjoy that sort of killjoy attitude. And you're absolutely right. You can quite easily believe how people do get indoctrinated with the power. You know, when you hear of these concentration camps and you just think, surely, even when the... what have we got to do to these people? We've got to put them in this place and we're going to gas them and all that. Yeah, no problem. You know, you would think that humanity, the air of humanity would go, what? We've got to do what? Is this really... This is ridiculous, isn't it? What, that bloke with the short moustache and the hairdo is saying this? He's bonkers, isn't he? We're not doing that. I mean, I know we're all one, but you can imagine some people getting there going, oh yeah, great, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And I think that, do you just think people aren't like us, are they? There are people who are sort of a bit malicious and nasty, and you're quite right. They would have been staffing the concentration camps. They would have. Whatever the, can you imagine? I always think that with the Bond villains, the henchmen thing is how do they get the job? But you can imagine that with the concentration camp attendants. It's, okay, I'll sit down there. I'll have to do the accent, of course. What is your name? My name is Fritz. Okay, Fritz. What do you think about chopping people's legs off? Yes, it's very much like chopping. Well, I nearly went into Indian then. Let's get rid of the accent because it'll upset somebody. There'll be somebody who's offended. Hello, I'm offended. Yes, you're offensive, mate. Yes, you like chopping people's legs. Yes, I like chopping people's legs. Yeah, you got the job. I do wonder how that was all worked. Anyway, I've read Where in Sussex. Yeah, as long as you're obeying the law in the land. Turbo Stream said something, but I've lost him. Sorry about that, Turbo. David Bellamy was an icon of the undergrowth. Yeah. Hello, everybody. I can't do David Bellamy. He sort of has a bit like that, wasn't he? David Bellamy, he was in the undergrowth. And I could see down there is a little slimy little plant. It's a lovely little plant. It's trying to grow up. It's going to get through the trees there. God, that makes you feel a bit ill. It's better. I feel a bit better for that. By the way, if anybody wants to save me from myself, you can give me a call on 0793 4746790 being the number to call. Where in Sussex continues with his rant. He says, it doesn't help if every police force put out a different version of the truth, and that wasn't helped by the politicians being asked without warning. Suddenly, a rule only about 1 hour was made up. Oh, yes, what should you do? Well, I think it's perfectly all right to take a gas oven out into the wilderness and cook burgers for people. As long as they keep a social distance and have their money on a stick, I think that's perfectly all right. David Kill says, don't bring yourself down, Audrey. We don't think about people's ages on here. No, we don't think about anybody's age. She says, Nazza Linda Kane is about our age. Sorry, I thought that said Nazza. Who's Nazza? Yes. Dean Cooper, concentration camps are my subject. Are they? Dean Cooper, I wouldn't have thought. I mean, Radian B and concentration camps. He says, I know an awful lot about them. Any questions? Yes, all right. Here's question number 1. What kind of barbed wire are they using these days in the concentration camp? And also, how much concentration did they need to do? I mean, I'm not very good at concentrating. And did they sit them all out and say, right, here we are. Today we're going to get you to have a look at the RAF Rundle. We'd like you to concentrate on that for 25 minutes. Then we'll ask you questions afterwards. I'd like to know how much they concentrate, because there are bound to be people there whose concentration lapsed. I mean, I would. It's bad enough in lockdown. My concentration goes out the window. Audrey Forbes Hamilton says something to Kevin, but Kevin is not answering. He's saying, very young Steve, me old mate. Very young Steve. Don't tell me to ring Ian Beddoes. How old is everyone, says Josephine Suter. How old are you? Josephine Suter is the question. If you go first, we'll all answer. 54, 45, 39, 32. What? Everyone? 32. Oh, there we are. Have we got? Didn't we do this the other day? We've got a version of 32. 32 is the youngest so far. 39 is Dave Follows coming up. Uckfield has obviously got a tougher since I've moved out, Dean. Yes, that's very true. I mean, you are hemmed in at Uckfield, aren't you? By Nutley at one end, and I think you've got. I'm just trying to think of other towns near. You've got, what's that place that Oxted? Is it? Here we go. We got a phone call. Somebody's ringing in, ladies and gentlemen, to the old Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi. Let's find out who it is. Hello to you.
Hello to you. Chris Venables here.
Hello, Chris Venables. How are you?
I'm not too bad at all. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. Very kind of you to ask.
Jolly good. Very pleased to find that information out.
Yes.
You perked me interest. Actually, Richard, talking about concentration camps. Not that I'm an expert in these things.
Dean Cooper
you know?
is. Dean Cooper is the expert.
I know. I saw that. But he's bursting with interest to find out what we're going to say now.
Yeah.
But I watched a documentary on BBC today on catch up.
All right.
Now, I don't watch much television.
When you say on catch up, do you mean catch ya? Concentration camp. Catch ya. Put you in the.
Not on catch up.
Oh, not on catch up.
On the BBC catch-up service.
Yes, on the old the catch-up service. Yes, right. Okay.
The catch-up service. Yes.
Is that Channel 57?
Whatever it is. Yes.
Heinz 57. Anyway, yeah, go on.
Heinz 57 variety.
Yeah.
And it was on let's see, make sure I get the name right.
Yeah.
Bergen-Belsen.
Oh yeah, Bergen-Belsen.
Yes, well, because I tell you what fired me up when you said how people become full of their own self-importance when they're in these positions of power.
Yes.
And that was particularly true there. It's horrendous. I mean, there was one woman in charge. She was 22 years old.
Blimey.
And she walked into this dormitory where they're all half-starving, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And she was eating an apple. And she got a big dog at the side of her, and she just stood there eating an apple in front of everybody. And then when she got the core, she dropped it on the floor, and she made the dog sit at the side of that core, and then she walked out of the building. And the people in there didn't go and grab the core because it was such a big, vicious dog. It would have had them. Then she walked back in and ground the core with her foot into the floorboards. How awful was that?
Well, that was awful. That was awful.
She was hung afterwards at 22 years old.
What? She was hung.
Hung, yes.
Or rather, hanged. She was hanged.
Hanged, yes.
Hanged. We'll get. They'll all be saying. Linda Kane, particularly, will be going. No, Richard, it's not hung. Hanged. Apparently, you can have a picture can be hung, but a person is hanged.
Oh, right. I didn't realise that.
Oh, well, there's a different take.
It amounts to the same thing. I think they put a rope around her neck and dropped her, so I think...
Yeah, she died at the end of a 6-foot rope, whatever happened. At 22, well, she shouldn't have... That was the thing, power goes to your mind, doesn't it? But it's not just in that's... the concentration camps, of course, is an extreme thing. And very a nasty subject to talk about here on a light-hearted programme like this, of course.
Yes, of course it is. I'm very sorry.
When people are dying left, right and centre of COVID-19. I mean, we could talk much more about that. No.
No.
But it's funny how that little tiny bit of power, in a car park, or somebody who's got just a little bit over you can suddenly go, oh, yes, I see, sir. Oh, I see what it is. You can't park there, mate. No, you can't park there. Well, I'm only going to be 5 minutes. What difference is it?
Yeah.
Do you know? I mean, but these little things. I mean, humanity goes out of the window, doesn't it?
In extreme situations, it definitely does.
But it doesn't have to be extreme. I think humanity goes out of the window when someone just gets a little bit of job's worths. We all know somebody.
I've never been like that. I've been a manager for most of my life.
Not suggesting that you were.
I've always treated everybody the same and very fairly.
I treat.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Do you?
I know you do. And I know you do.
I treat everybody with disrespect, and in that way, there's no favouritism.
I know that's not true.
Oh, bless you, you swine. Blew my cover now, haven't you? Blew my cover.
Bloom your cover. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. But I do find that very strange. Also with business, it's like I was with still am I? Yeah, still am. With a telephone. I won't mention the name of the telephone. It doesn't matter. I don't want to give them the advertising. I was with a telephone company and I wanted to upgrade my internet, and I went to upgrade my internet, and they said, "Oh, we can sell you this marvellous package." We'll just call it a marvellous package. I don't know, identify it. So we're going to sell you this marvellous package, and and it's going to be great. So I said, "Yep, that sounds really good. I'll go with that." And they said, "You'll have it within X many hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever it was." And anyway, it didn't happen. And I had a problem on my line, and so I got back in touch and I said, "There's a problem." "Oh, well, don't worry, we'll fix it. This went on, and about 14 days later, this problem was still there. I still was without the internet. And I rang them up in the end, and I said, "Look, I'm not having this. I'm going with somebody else." And they said, "Well, you can't." I said, no, but I think I've got 15 days to change my mind, in actual fact. Thank you very much. And they said, no, you haven't got 15 days to change your mind because when you rang up, we asked you this one question, which we've recorded, which says that if you agree with going on this system, you've agreed to not having 15 days, whatever it was. And I said, well, I don't remember that. I don't remember agreeing to that. And he said, well, you did.
I don't like that at all.
And I said, well, that's by stealth. I said, now, I had been a customer for something like 20 years with this particular outfit. And I said to them, I said, look, I've been a customer for 20 years. This isn't working. You know, if I did agree to it, that was a mistake because I wouldn't have agreed to that. It was an honest mistake. And I just thought, you know, come on, I'm just one customer out of millions. I haven't even had the service because you haven't provided it. 14 days have gone past. There's been a fault. I haven't even used your service. So surely you can just sort of waiver it. And he said, no, we can't. You've got to have it. And I said, where's your humanity? He said, do you not realise if you just forced me into this, I will be there bound by the 2 years that I have to be, and I'll do that, and I will leave at the end of it. But not only that, I will tell everybody who knows me and anybody else what a rubbish service you've got because you've held me to a mistake, an honest mistake that I've made, and you haven't even supplied the service. And he said, well, you can go to the ombudsman. And I just thought, but where's your humanity as a human being? And of course he said, I can't make the decision. It's the company. All for a tiny bit.
He's a telephone operative, you see. He's nobody really. He's just taking the details.
Yeah.
But you don't you find though, Richard, that trying to get some kind of service in anything nowadays is awful.
Well, it is. But I used to make corporate videos, and I said to this very chap, I said, if you were my customer and you came in and you signed a contract with me about making a video and you said, actually, you know, do you know what? I've changed my mind. It's only been a couple of days and whatever. I would have said, don't worry. No problem at all. Because he may well come back. If I'm nice to him, he may well come back. He might say, well, you know, I got into this contract, but he was ever so nice about it and he let me go. And to be honest, I might use his service in the future.
Yeah.
And so some people do service, but the bigger they are, the less important you are. And all the bollocks, excuse my language, but all the bollocks they put up in that, you know, your call is important. All of this absolute tripe. It's only important as long as you and several other million of you are buying from us. But on an individual basis, you're just an ant that we can squash.
Yeah, you're right. And that's what annoys me when you phoning call centres up and they say the same thing. Just hang on another minute, you know, your call is very important. First of all, they spend 10 minutes telling you about who they are, what they are, and how they're recording all the junk for no reason at all. Then they keep you waiting on for ages. You know, it's been an extremely heavy load tonight, so you're going to have to hang on for another 5 minutes or whatever. You're there for half an hour. Exactly.
Absolutely. I mean, the other thing I hate, whilst we're on the subject, is these. Have you noticed these contracts? They say this is an agreement for either software or using a service on the internet. They're all the same now. They're all the same. It's an agreement. You know, if you agree to this, you can use our service. Well, in the old days, I remember making up agreements and you'd get one party and the other party and you'd say, look, I'd like to put a fence here. And they would say, could you shove it over there? And you said, well, I don't want to shove it over there. Maybe if I could shove it here? Oh, yeah, no, that would be fine. You would come to an agreement. But now it's not agree. It's like if you do not abide by the terms that we've got, there's no agreement in it. It's like that or nothing. There's no meeting of the minds and going, well, do you know, I'll have all of that, but actually, can you not save my data? No. You either have all of the small print or nothing. So it's not an agreement.
Yes, well, it's not an agreement. No, it's just they're dictating the terms and conditions.
Yes, it's a diktat, isn't it? That's what it is.
Now then, what do you think? What do you think to Mr. Branson going cap in hand for some money off the government? Should he get it? Yes or no?
Of course he shouldn't get it. I mean, he should sell a couple of his aeroplanes first. Shouldn't he?
Well, he reckons he
Not
says
that
he
anyone's
wants it as a
buying
loan
them.
now. He said he wants it as a loan now. Before he wanted the money to bail out, now he wants it as a loan.
He wants it as a
What
loan.
is it? He wants to borrow approximately 500 million.
Hasn't he not
So
got
do
enough?
I.
Has he not got enough islands that he could sell or something?
I know. They get greedy. They're greedy, aren't they? Greedy
The
people.
only thing I would say on that side of things is he employs a hell of a lot of people, and
Yes,
you
and
don't.
that's the only thing that gets me as well.
Yeah,
We
you
need to
don't.
look after them.
You know, it's if he can't help his force out, I understand that there's a problem and all of those things. It's the people who are employed who suddenly, if everyone said, "Oh, Richard Branson is too rich to care," but actually he probably hasn't got enough money to keep everybody indefinitely in employment. But he doesn't need to because they're all furloughed.
But they are his bargaining chip. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? He'll use those to get what he wants. That's what they do.
Yes. Yeah. They're all too
I
big.
tell you, while we're having a good moan,
Yeah. Go on.
I didn't watch it last night, but there's a load of...
What do you mean you
well,
didn't watch me last night? Thank you for your
No,
call.
not that. The Paul McCartney, Rolling Stones type people who did a concert for 2 hours.
Oh, did they?
Raised 100 million for the NHS.
Oh, yeah.
All these celebrity types, Lady Gaga, etc., etc.
Yeah. How much?
Why don't they all put their hand in their pocket?
Oh, I know. Oh,
You know what I mean?
I know.
What's up with these people? You know what I mean? I haven't got a lot of money. I know you don't live an expensive lifestyle, but for God's sake, Paul McCartney, what's he worth? What the hell's he worth?
Obviously not enough that he's got to go and ask everybody else to pay for him.
I know. Everybody put a tenner in, or it's not a fiver anymore, it's a tenner. Everybody put a tenner in.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, why much are you putting in?
Exactly.
The bloke it's got to be worth 300 million.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
He's an old man now. He ain't got that long to go. Chuck a few quid in, for goodness sake.
Goodness sake. I mean, you can't take it with you.
Exactly.
Dear.
This is what does me. All these people they drag out for these,
Yes.
these charitable events. And you find out that often we're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
I can't be doing it. I never put any money in because of that. That's the only reason I wouldn't put money in, because I don't trust any of them.
I don't trust any of them. You get very cynical now in our older age.
I know. We should be talking like this.
But
It's a light-hearted programme.
This is it. I mean, you do get cynical, though, because you just keep seeing the other side of the fence. And people don't, people seem to forget that actually you get to a certain age, you've been around a bit, you've seen all these tactics being used before.
Yeah.
Anyway, I better let somebody else get on.
Yes, definitely.
But thank you so much for the call and giving us a good old laugh. There it is.
My pleasure. My pleasure, sir.
Call again.
Yes, catch you later, Richard. All the best, pal.
Take care, Chris. Bye-bye.
And you, pal. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There we are, the lovely Chris Venables, talking sense there. Ed Loud says Richard Branson is barely a figurehead these days. He doesn't really do much beyond speaking and apparently in public. I wish he'd have a shave, shave that silly beard and his stupid smile. I wrote to Richard Branson, actually, many, many moons ago when I set up the Third Floor Mime Company. Or, if you want to be a bit arty-farty, we could also be known as Le Troisième Etage, which was basically the third floor. The Third Floor Mime Company. And we wrote to Richard Branson asking for 10 grand. This is probably in, I don't know, when was it? Late 80s. And we got nothing. So I wrote this letter to Richard Branson and I said, look, here we are. We're a theatre company. We'd put on a mime show. We'd asked Southern Arts, which is an arts body, to come and look at the show that we'd put together, which we put off on our own back. And it was a show called Tiny Aeroplanes, one half, which was a mime show, solo mime show with me, but with a guy playing music and another chap doing the lights and directing. And then we had, what was the other thing called? It was this sort of weird claymation, but human claymation thing about a prisoner. But anyway, so we put this show together. It took us about 3 months, put this show together, did it in about 4 or 5 different venues. And we wanted to take it round on tour as we were young artists and what have you. And so we got Southern Arts to come along, who was this sort of part of the arts funding, whatever the Great Britain Arts Council is. They were the southern region. They came along. watched the show and said to me, "Yeah, thanks for the invitation. Really enjoyed the show. Da da da. Thought you got a lot of talent and it'll go far. Blah blah." So I got in touch with them and I said, "Is there any chance of any funding to take this further?" And they said, "Unfortunately, our budget's come to the end." Blah blah blah. And I said, "Oh, okay." So I wrote back and I said, "Okay, well, don't worry. Could we have a quote from Southern Arts to say something along the lines of, without putting words into your mouth, but, you know, this pretty much what you said before, that it's a great show, it'd be great, blah, 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 well worth booking, something like that, says Southern Arts." And they said, "No, you can't quote us." Pardon? "No, unless we funded you, you cannot quote us." I said, "Well, we're not asking any money. We're just, if you said it was a good show, which you did say, because you saw it, can we not write that on our publicity, which might influence the theatre bookers to book us in?" We were wanting to do something like a 70-30 split for the box office, you know, in little art centres. And they said, "No, you cannot use our logo and you cannot quote us unless we funded you." And I thought, well, that's the most ridiculous thing in this world. You know, we could have been making some money and would have saved you some money and, you know. Anyway, so they wouldn't. So in the end, we scratched around thinking, how are we going to make some money to do this, to pay for it? Because we didn't have any money. We're, you know, on the dole, all this sort of nonsense. So I wrote to Richard Branson because he seemed to be an entrepreneur. And I thought, well, I'm an entrepreneur. We'll get in him. And we asked for 10 grand. And we thought if we get a couple of grand thrown our way, it would really, really help. Not expecting to get 10 grand. So we wrote to him. These are the days of typewriters. You know, we wrote to him and nothing. And a couple of weeks went past, and I thought, not even an acknowledgement. So I wrote to him again. Then I did get an acknowledgement. It was just a standard letter. "Thanks for your thing, but unfortunately, da-da-da-da-da." And it was signed, care of, whatever. And I thought, that's not good enough. So I wrote again, "Dear Richard Branson, I got this thing from so-and-so, but I want to, you know, I want to hear from you, Mr. Branson. You know, this is a great idea and blah, blah, blah. It's the arts, and I know you support the arts, and you started off." Anyway, nothing. Then I must have written about 6 or 7 letters, and I just said, you know, until I get an answer from Richard Branson, I'm not stopping sending these letters. I was a belligerent bastard back then. So I kept it, and eventually I got this handwritten note. I wish I'd kept it. And it just said, "Dear Richard, thanks for your thing, but it's not for us." End of. He'd obviously, oh, for goodness sake. So I don't have much time for Richard Branson, you know, after writing so many bloody letters. Let's. I'll come back to these in a moment because we've got to go. Sorry, we've got to go to have a look at Grace Elspeth. What? I always can't quite remember your surname. Elspeth, Grace Elspeth, friend of Mike Stevens, and the, what is it? It's a short-eared or a long-eared owl. There we go, the long-eared owl. Twit? Yes. Who? Me? Quite right. Paul Smith says they may contribute, talking of these big stars, and it's true, they may well. We don't know. Obviously, we don't know. So, you know, but the implication is that they don't, I suppose, but who knows? Ed Loud says Richard Branson is barely a Oh, I read that. Cameron McIntosh is still a multi-billionaire, yet he has dismissed many staff without pay during the present crisis. How awful is that? Mark Donny McLeod, Branson doesn't keep companies, he builds companies, then sells them off or franchises them out. That way he cuts the responsibility of blame after he's sold off the service to make quick bucks. There you go, that's the way to do it. Don't give a monkeys about the staff, use them to make lots of money for you, and away you go. Linda Kane says he was rubbish, so was Elton John, Stones were okay. We have a phone call. Hello to the phone operator, to the person ringing.
Good evening, Vobes. It's your West Country correspondent here.
My West Country. That's a very dodgy thing to say live on the show. West
Isn't it?
Country correspondent, Mr. Gabriel from.
Glastonbury!
Way!
Hey!
Just for that.
How are you, sir?
Just for that. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Oh, where's my mouse? Just for that. You get a small snippet of Will Hay.
Free.
Right. Now, wait a minute. Now, let's get some paper and pencil. We'll work this out.
Thanks, son.
There we are. Get some paper and pencil and work it out. Love it.
Excellent idea.
Oh.
I had to ring up because your last phone call struck so many nerves that I wanted to just sort of add to it.
Right. Okay. Good.
Good. Call centres. Oh dear.
Call centre. And we got known for the service industry now.
The thing is, that's a euphemism. It's a euphemism, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
Customer service is a euphemism for like sod off, really.
It is a bit.
Because they say your call is important to us, while they've got you on a call queue to an offshore call centre where they can't even understand English, don't understand what you say, repeat back what you said to them as the answer to your question. That's how much they care about you as a customer. No, I don't think they do.
I think you, instead of using the word call, you could just replace that with money. Your money is important to us.
Yeah, I mean, I had worked in the past for Orange in a call centre. I was technical support, and so I know what it's like on the other end. And back then, I mean, things weren't brilliant, but we had it drilled into us, single call resolution, the customer is king, all this sort of thing. You've got to look after the customer, blah, 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 blah. That's gone out the window now. Totally gone out the window.
Why do they bother? Well, I mean, why do they even make the service thing a thing that they need to, because ultimately they don't need to say that, do they?
No.
It's like, these days we need the products that they have. That like with the big six or the whatever it is, you want this stuff. Basically, they have the monopoly. You want it? Well, we're going to treat you rough. We're going to muck you about, but we'll give it to you.
Yeah, I guess there is a way of looking at that as much as you could say, well, we allow them to do it, so that's why they do it. If we all turned around and said, no, we don't accept that, and all voted with our wallets, they would stop doing it.
But we don't, do we?
We don't, do we? No, we don't. That's a whole other conversation that I'm not going to start tonight.
No. Well, I mean, it reminds me of a conversation that somebody on YouTube said about me going out doing the videos. And they said, look, if everybody went out, then what kind of place would we be in? And I said, and I answered, well, that's a nonsense it's a nonsense argument if everybody did it, because everybody doesn't do it. And a policeman once stopped me. I was driving out of a service station. And you come out of a service station onto a motorway, and there's that sort of area that is not one thing or the other. You're not quite on the motorway, so the hard shoulder is this enormous bit of wasteland before you get onto the motorway. And my phone rang, and I thought I was expecting a very important call from a client, and I wasn't quite on the motorway, so I pulled right over, miles from anywhere. And I'd only just left the service station, but I wasn't really on the motorway. And I thought, and all I went to the client and said, look, I'm on the journey. I'll ring you back when I get home. That's all I said. From nowhere, this policeman suddenly came out, as if, behind a bush. And he said, anyway, he told me off, etc., etc. And I said, look, I, to be honest with you, I wouldn't, if I was on the motorway, I wouldn't have answered the phone. I wouldn't have pulled over to answer the phone, certainly. And I wouldn't admit to answering the phone as I was driving, of course not. And I said, look, I was just in a bit of a dilemma. And I thought, it's not going to hurt. I'm just going to tell him I'll ring him back and get going and what have you. And he said, now that may be wrong of me, but he said, in a very snooty, sort of condescending way, yeah, but what if everybody pulled over on the hard shoulder, eh? And I just turned to him and I said, when has that ever happened? And that shut him up. Because there is no point where everybody does that thing.
Yeah.
Because they never do. Sorry, I've interrupted your flow about service.
Yes, but no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. The other thing was, concentration camps.
Oh, blimey, yes.
It reminded me, a whole light lit up. When, as a photographer, I used to work festivals. And if you want to see that in action, give a hippie a high-vis jacket, a radio, and a gate, and watch them turn into Gestapo.
Really?
Overnight. Oh, it's hot. You can't come in here. You can't do this. No, mate. You can't do this. You can't do that. That's all he wants. Nope, 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 nope.
You mean the relaxed, easygoing, pot-smoking, long-haired hippie who ordinarily loves everybody and gives everybody flowers?
They're the worst. Give them a radio and a high-vis jacket and a gate, and they're the worst. I swear it.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
How extraordinary.
Absolutely. It's weird, isn't it?
I think the thing is that we give people power. We give people power by accepting their status. But you know what it's like if you've got a kid. Teachers will know this, and you're telling the kid off, like, sorry, you can't sit there, and they just laugh at you.
Yeah.
Unless you're very clever, your power, they've undermined your power base. There's this sort of exemption. I'm the teacher. I'm this status. You're that status. But if the lower status just laughs and goes, really, it undermines the higher status, and then they're either going to get irate and even make them look sillier and go, oh, you're in a bit of, it's so easy to undermine that sort of officialdom by pulling the rug from
exactly,
under.
Yeah.
Yeah. But people don't. We kind of get into that conformity. Oh, you're telling me off because you've got a radio and a high-vis jacket and all of this. Like, well, if I just drive past you, what are you going to do?
Yeah, right.
If I just walk, and because half the time it's like, all the time I was big and tough in front of the gate, but actually, if you just walk past me, on the radio, there's a bloke. He's just a bald head. He's got glasses. He's walked in and don't worry about it, Ray. Yeah, but you told me to stop everybody. Yeah, well, you just stop them from, suddenly you realise the power isn't as big as everybody thinks it is.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say, because you were talking about like these rock stars giving up, putting the £10 out of their pocket.
Yeah.
It's been a bit quiet on the news, but professional footballers, have you followed that one?
No.
I don't like football at all. I think they're a bunch of overpaid ponces, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that. I'm sorry, but that's my thoughts. They have a union, believe it or not. Can you imagine it?
A union?
You have a union. Can you imagine one soapbox and a flat cap? Now then, the Nils. Anyway, these guys voted not to take a pay cut.
They voted not to take it. Well, these millionaire.
Yes, not to take a pay cut, a 30% pay cut, while this is all going on, despite the fact a lot of the clubs are actually furloughing their staff. These guys are swanning around on full wages, and they wouldn't take. The argument was, and if it wasn't such a serious situation, you'd think this is a fast show gag or something. Well, while they're on full wages, the tax they're paying is giving more to the NHS than taking a 30% drop in wages would be.
Oh, yeah.
Can you believe that? Oh, dear, oh, dear.
I don't really understand how we ever got to paying those sort of people that much money.
No,
and here we are, in this situation, which may or may not be as harsh as everybody's made it out to be. It may turn out that it's not quite as bad as it's all been, but nevertheless, it's sold as a global catastrophe for the world. And at the moment, we're starting to see who are the necessary people.
Absolutely.
And those people who ought to be paid, the millionaires who are going in and facing the virus and stuff, are not being. And the ones who are on the peripheral and not really doing very much, like your footballers, are suddenly, actually, we don't really need you. Thanks very much, but we don't really need you. So perhaps we won't be paying you in the future.
Yeah.
Laugh whilst the sun's out, but the sun's going in at the end of the day. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's obscene. I just couldn't believe it. And that one slept very quietly underneath the news radar, but it is there. You can Google it. It's a story. It has been out. It was about a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
It's a funny
any
old road up to Glastonbury.
Yes, I sorry I haven't sent the video in. Again, customer service. I was working on the voiceover bits. It's there. I've done it.
Yeah.
I was working on the voiceover bits, and my software that I do my voiceovers with, a program called WavePad, it just locked up and decided it wanted to charge me for 3 months membership or something.
Oh, they're all doing this membership rubbish, aren't they? They've all gone, oh yes, I know, we can make more money out of them. We won't actually give them the software or sell the software so they can use it for perpetuity, a word that's very difficult to say. But what we'll do is we'll just keep charging them month after month after month and not do very much. And just say, oh, here's an update, here's another update. I mean, you know, what updates do you need on audio programs these days? They pretty much got it now. Audio programs. There's not really, you know, you can fiddle around with the wavelengths and make all sorts of things, but they've been doing that since the 60s, really. There's not much more to update other than, you know, put curves on some of the logos and some of the, you know, graphics and stuff and make it look, oh, that's nice, isn't it? And we'd have.
Yeah.
They're all doing this monthly thing.
Yeah. Adobe are the worst for that.
Oh.
But I won't go into that one.
No, but it's true.
If anybody's thinking of getting into this, I've got to recommend DaVinci Resolve. It's more powerful than Adobe. It's more powerful than the iPad, the Mac one. It's awesome. It's epic, and it's free. And it's a big learning curve, but it's worth it.
That's what I use.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. I can't say enough good things about it.
And they've been in the business a while with their color grading.
Yes, they have.
Now they've really come on with the non-linear. I don't know why we call it non-linear. It's like a negative, isn't it? It's not linear editing.
No, it's non-linear.
It's like saying running is not. It's not walking. Well,
no.
Fine, okay, it's not walking. Well, what is it? You know, why do we still say non-linear editing?
Yeah, but so they can have that sort of NLE. They like these letters, don't they? It's an NLE, or DAW or whatever. I mean,
very few people, apart from Dumpman, is on analog.
Yeah,
he's still on high 8.
Is he? Oh, bless him.
He is on high 8. Yeah, absolutely.
Good man. Absolutely, I can appreciate that.
Which is why his videos come out like once a year.
Yeah,
because
they're works of art. 3
machine edits. Oh my God! And how many copies do you want? It'll be 5 weeks before you get them. It's outrageous. Lovely to talk to you, Gabriel. I wish you well with WordPad or whatever. There are other software out there for free.
Yes. I should be moving across to another one, but the video will be with you tomorrow. It's the first of a 2-parter.
Oh, lovely! I'm very excited.
Excellent.
As indeed the audience. Take care.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There we are, lovely Gabriel from Glastonbury giving us a little chat there about his little sort of foibles on things. How are we doing over there? We're going to get to some videos in a second. We'll just go back in there. Mark Donny McLeod says, Rozzers are never there when you need them, like 10 people after you are in a patch, but not there, but you do something wrong and they appear quickly. Yes, quicker than the shopkeeper in Mr. Ben. Mr. Ben. Oh, they were the dad. How did Mr. Ben go? Down Acacia Avenue. Oh, love Mr. Ben. I used to know the theme. I used to be able to call these themes. It'll come to me in a minute. Thanks. Mr. Ben, come on, Mr. Ben. I can hear it, Mr. Ben theme tune. Sorry, you've started me off. Mr. Ben theme. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a remix. Did you know there's a remix? Let's get the original. I knew I had it there. What's the remix then? Where's the remix gone? I want to see the remix.
Yet one of them seems to manage.
Oh, that's a Mr. Bean remix. Oh, I don't want Mr. Bean. Thank you very much. Mr. Bean. I was in a couple of Mr. Beans with Thames Television. Connor's Doubt Corner says, I had a police encounter not long ago where he wanted to do me in for a pallet I found on the side of the road. He was saying it's theft by finding out it was a wood pallet on the side of the road. How ridiculous. Mark Don. I mean, as if they haven't got other things to do, for goodness sake. Must have been a quiet day. Mark Donny McLeod says, I agree totally with Gabriel. Overpaid ponces. Phil Hammond says, could send Richard a picture of the owl. Could send Richard a picture of the owl, but he tends to lose things I send him. Do I? Josephine Suter says, can see them in the moonlight above the trees. The owl footage was amazing, by the way. Well done. Yes, that was to Grace Ellisbeth, or however she pronounced her surname. Glenn Johnson says, ain't they 50% tax, which is more than 30%? That was a scientific study called the Stanford... there was a scientific study called the Stanford Prison Experiment by Philip Zimbarge, something or other. Volunteers were randomly given authority over others, and it went horribly wrong. It's not Animal Farm. What's the one with the kids? What's the experiment with the kids? Or the George Orwell novel? Not Animal Farm, is it? The one with the kids. What's the name of the novel with the kids where they put them all in a... well, a kind of Animal Farm, isn't it? Everyone is equal, but some are more equal than others, etc., etc., etc. Let's go to another video. And what have we done here? Barry. Let's go to Barry. Barry is out and about with young Faden and his partner.
Hello, Richard and everyone. Barry Stevens here. We're in a walk today in Warpledon, near Farnham. Thought I'd share it with you. We are on the some kind of common or heathland. When we find something of interest, I'll get back to you. Bye bye. Some fairly nice views here. We've just walked up a hill, looking back on where we came from. Just to let you know, I find all of these walks that I go on a site called Fancy Free Walks. If you ever get a chance to check it out, do so. It's brilliant. It's free, and it picks some of the most secluded and most beautiful walks in around Hampshire, West Sussex, East Sussex, Surrey, Greater London, Kent, them kind of areas, Wiltshire. It really is worth checking out. Anyway, get back to you soon. And I just have a little rant that I found. This really annoys me. People that go to the effort of picking up their dog poo, putting it in a bag and then dumping the bag. Why do that? Surely the dog poo will decompose quicker than the bag. Anyway, we're just about to sit down and have some lunch.
Hello.
See you in a mo. Okay, we're on another part of our walk. What's this part of the walk called?
Saltbox Road.
Yeah, we're on Saltbox Road, in the middle of a nice forest.
It's quite wet down here because even though we only had a little bit of rain.
It is. The whole walk seems quite wet and muddy. Anyway, we'll get back to you soon. I'd just like to show you this bit of the woodland. It seems to be all beech trees, very beachy. Hopefully you can hear the birds singing as well. There's lots of these little kind of pond things around the woods. It's very boggy, and you're seeing these everywhere. I love the bird song in here. It's really nice. Walking over a nice wooden bridge over a little stream.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that bikes and stuff have been here because like there's bike trails just there.
There are. It's obviously very popular for bikers. Show you this nice open area, very boggy area.
And also the path is way more dry now than back over there.
Yeah, it has dried up a bit. Anyway, get back to you soon. A bit more of this, pan you around to Faden.
This marshland is actually home to many nesting wildlife.
It is. Good lad. I have to say I've never seen so many birch trees all in one area. This whole woodland walk is birch trees. I'd just like to add this bark that you get from birch trees is brilliant kindling for lighting fires. Even a spark will ignite this if you do it right because it's full of oils, flammable oils. I just thought I'd add that. Anyway, bye bye. The landscape has changed now on our walk into like gauzy, sandy type Anyway, I'll get back to you for the final video. Sorry, Faden's going to say something.
I just keep on writing things on the floor.
He's writing things in the sand. Anyway, get back to you soon. Well, I'm going to finish the video here with these views just before we go. Looks like there's been a fire here quite recently. This place must go up like a tinderbox.
Yeah, there's also a big one over there.
There's a big bit of fire damage. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye. Bye-bye from...
Goodbye everybody and stay safe.
Bye-bye
Goodbye to Richard.
And bye-bye from Debbie as well. Bye-bye.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much, Barry. Do like a nice rummage through a bit of gorse, especially if you're stripped down to your thong. Lovely. Well done. Nice to see Faden there, and of course your lovely partner, whose name I have to say I've completely forgotten, but I did watch the video. But as I said so many times, I never hear the audio when it goes out, so it's like, oh, what was your partner's name? Anyway, somebody was asking me how much bread I had left, and this is all that's left. I have been gobbling on it. Tomorrow I intend to make some more because I've enjoyed this really much. It is a bit crunchy. I've got used to the crunch, but I'm going to try putting a bit more oil in and maybe a knob of butter, and maybe reduce the flour intake. By flour, I mean the what's the name flour. I will go into Morrison's and see if they've got any strong flour, and try that. But I'm really enjoying this. Fantastic. Anyway, yeah, thanks very much, Barry. Another cracker, which is great. So Debbie, there we go. Thank you. Sorry, I do apologise to Debbie for forgetting. I know you introduced me when we very first met, outside the. I'm sure it was your partner you met, or you met somebody anyway. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Matters to them, of course. Yeah. So I'm very, very enamoured with this. I'll probably polish this off before I go to bed. Can you eat too much bread? It's full of nitroglycerine, isn't it? No, not nitroglycerine. What is the stuff that sodium glutamate? Oh, not sodium glutamate. What is the stuff? The thing that's in potatoes, not starch. What's the carbohydrates? Carbohydrates. Too many carbohydrates. I think that's what it is. Mike Stevens says lots of nature and sunrise and great presentation. Very much enjoyed the video. They do, but pricey. £2 a bit much for a 1.k bag. Not much flour in Morrison, says David Sargent. No, I mean every time I've looked, there's not very much. I could just repeat this with more plain flour. And what about a bit of self-raising? Would that help? Anthrax. Yes, that's what it is. There's plenty of anthrax in here. We have another phone call, ladies and gentlemen. Phantasmagorical. Let's find out who's calling in. Hello to you.
Hello to you.
Hello to you, Ed. Loud.
Hello to everyone.
Hello to everybody. How are you?
Round and squidgy.
Oh, marvellous. Marvellous. Can I spread you on the last of my bread?
Well, if you like lard on bread, I suppose you could.
Oh, bless you. You looked you looked in good, fine fitness on the video you sent in, Ed.
Oh, goodness gracious. No, my gut was overhanging my jeans. It's horrible.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be polite.
Sometimes I suck it in, don't you know?
Well, we all try a little bit of that.
Father Christmas taught me how to do that.
Oh, did he? Never mind. So, you rang in. What's on your mind?
Well, you were talking about bread and things, and I thought, well, I've said my penny's worth on that. But I had an incident today, and everyone in chat was talking about what to use to edit sound and things. And I was today trying to match the audio with a video I'd made, trying to get the lip sync all done properly. And no matter what I did, I couldn't get the lips to match the words that were playing in the speakers.
Did you have a synchronization or anything to begin with to help?
I did a clap, I got that idea from you. It always works normally.
Right.
I couldn't make head nor tail of it. And I'd named all my files so I could get them in the right order. And I brought them into the software I was using, and I just couldn't get things to match up. And I looked at the speed that the clips were playing, and one was just under 30 frames a second, and one was just over. And I thought, well, that tiny little margin shouldn't be making a difference. You know, it's like 30.0001 frames per second. And I spent about 2 hours working on this before I discovered what I was doing wrong.
Oh, what was that?
The file for the speech was completely the wrong file for the video. I was saying the same thing. I was reading the exact same line from my script, but it was an earlier recording.
Oh yeah, do you know I have done similar things, but I've discovered it much quicker because the lip sync was like, oh, wait a minute, it's not even the same words coming out of one's mouth.
It's so close that you wouldn't notice. And although I'm new to videos, I've got years of experience editing sound, and I just didn't. It was so close, I didn't notice.
No, it's when I know that MP4s. And MP3s particularly can slip.
Mm.
You know, I always use a WAV file or WAV file for the audio, if at all possible, because it doesn't slip. Whereas MP3s, I've edited to music before, and I've used an MP3 track, and the video is fine. The video is lock solid, but when you go back a little bit and then hit return or whatever your play button on your keyboard is to get it going again, it's not, well, it's certainly in my experience that an MP3 can shift about a bit.
Yeah. The frame rate, or the hertz and things like that. Especially if you use different things to record them on. I use two phones, one to record the sound, one to record the video.
Yeah.
And they were at a different rate. Now, in a 20-second clip, it's not going to make much difference. But if that was a 3-4 minute clip,
yes,
it would start to make a massive difference.
Yes, I mean, there's more to it than meets the eye, and it is. I mean, you get problematic when you are taking your video and your sound separately.
Yeah,
you've got, assuming that you match them up correctly, you've got more. You can do more with it because they're separate, but it can at the same time offer you.
And of course, currently I'm at a disadvantage because I've seen you slap your bald head to line up the things, but sometimes I've got nothing to slap, and my brother sort of keeps his distance, so I can't slap him. So
no,
I sort of run out of things to clap. So, and I find if I hit my clothes, that will then mess up with the microphone I'm wearing. So all joking aside, I can't just sort of go along and clap.
Well, I tell you what. Here's the thing that I haven't yet compiled an edit that has me doing this. But if I'm wearing that hat that I have got when it's raining, I can't slap my head at the beginning. And so just to explain to those people who have no idea what we're talking about, when you're taking sound separately from your video, so you may have your camera filming you, and you may have a separate recorder taking the audio. And they'll end up on two different files. And then in the edit suite, you've got to match them up so that the lips are in synchronization, called lip sync. And that can be quite tricky. So I always slap my head, which acts like a clapperboard, so that you have a visual moment where you know the slap sound should be. And on the audio, you'll have a spike and you'll hear it where the slap is, so you can match the two up. But when I'm wearing that hat, I can't slap because, I could take my hat off and slap and put it back on. But I'll tell you what I do. And it's not foolproof and it's not accurate, but I have adapted myself to make it accurate. And what I do is I'll synchronize by blowing a raspberry. I'll go... And then in the audio, I can see myself blowing the raspberry and I can hear the raspberry and I can pretty much match the two up. And sometimes it just means jogging it a frame or so either way. But it's pretty close. So that's another way that I've done it. But of course, the raspberry can take perhaps 7 frames. If you're doing that, it might have 7 or 8 frames in it, so you might have a bit, but it's just easier, holding the camera, holding a microphone, you've got this silly hat on, and you just go, oh, okay, here it is, and it works for me.
I find that the longer the clip, the more out of sync they get, because, as I said, one device is recording at like 30.01 frames per second. The other one gets 29.9 or something. And you get away with it for a couple of minutes, but when you start to get to about 4 or 5 minutes, you really do notice.
Yes.
But
of course, as long as you've got a cutaway, you can cut that and then move the audio, slip it up or slip it back a bit.
Yeah, and I can always speed it up and slow it down. And that's what I was trying to do for hours earlier. I was
well, if you've got the wrong audio track, if you have got the wrong audio track, of course you're going to be at a loss.
I was speeding it up and slowing it down, and oh goodness! And then I went on to track 2, and it matched perfectly. And without even putting it into the software, I realised straight away what I'd done. That track 2 just matched, and
I'm just going to interrupt all this technical talk because people are obviously falling asleep now. Mark Selwood says that lump of bread, and he's referring to the lump of bread I assume that I've got in my hand here now, looks like the one that finished off Terry Thomas in Vault of Horror. And I can tell you, it wouldn't finish. It might if you clapped him over the head with it, because it is a bit crusty, but it is actually quite delicious.
Yeah, I quite like bread like that myself. I often deliberately introduce a bit of roughage into my bread, sometimes oat flour and things like that, and it does make them more dense and hard. So it's not very often I make what people would term like a traditional bread. My brother's quite keen on my bread and gets me to make him bread products and puff pastry around Christmas. But myself, I don't really. I quite like rustic bread, so I always deliberately toughen my bread.
No, I'm you know, if you buy too much commercial bread, you get sort of stuck into that's what bread is, and of course there's lots of different types of bread. Glenn Johnson says I record sound with no video, which sounds crazy mental, which is fair enough. Mark Selwood says I record sound separately and sometimes notice it's not quite matched as best as it could be. I think Gabriel's mentioned that some software will actually do this for you. And DaVinci, which is what I use, will do it, as I believe Adobe does, and many other softwares will match the wave file, the waveform, as long as it says it will do it automatically for you. But it would, as long as you've got a guide track that you record on the camera. Because if you don't record a guide track on the camera, in other words, if your camera records sound, but it's not what you're going to use, because it's got wind and all of that, but you're going to go, I'm not going to use that, but it's a reference really.
Now I was using DaVinci while my brother was at work. It's his laptop. My computer, as I've explained on previous shows, can't handle DaVinci. But I didn't know that it could do it automatically. So that's something I'll have to look into. It sounds quite interesting and probably save me a lot of time as well.
It won't match it up if it's the wrong audio track. Whatever you do there, you still won't match it up.
Never mind. I got a lot done today, and I got to tinker about with the color grading and stuff in DaVinci, which was that's extraordinary. I took this tired old film of me walking around a local park, and I just made the colors jump out. It looks 10 times better. So,
it's very easy to go over the top with the colour grade. It's very subtle. You know, you can be just need to be subtle. I played around with something called LUTs, but I wouldn't say I fully grasped LUTs, and I've been fiddling with video for a while, but I'd sort of tend to do it all by eye, and I've only got the one. Mark Selwood's just adding, he says, sorry, Richard, a big fan of Terry Thomas. Had to get him into the show. I say, absolute shower. Love Terry Thomas. My Saviour is recording a lot of cutaways, and then you can cut to many R's and goofs. You can cut out of them. Yes, you can cut out where you mistake. Yeah, if you've got lots of cutaways, you it's the big saviour of everything.
Johnny McLeod as well has made a good point. The key is file naming. Now, I noticed that a long time ago with audio as well. If you give things sensible names, you'll know what you're dragging into the box. And
yes,
as Mark says, it saves a lot of trouble. So,
can you sync, says Glenn Johnson, a silent digi-click? I know nothing about DigiVid, but seems obvious. Can you sync to a silent digi-click? I don't know what a silent digi-click would
No
be.
idea. It sounds like a Pokemon to me. A digi-click. I'll have to look this up. But no, it's really great to be making videos and things. As I said, I've never done it before, but sadly, I'll have to try making my own music to one of these videos one day. But
well, that would be interesting.
All I've got nowadays is a keyboard, so
right.
I don't even know if it still works. But I'm sure I can dust it off and give it a bash. Me old guitar's broke, and the neighbours wouldn't like me having a drum kit.
No, I'm sure they wouldn't.
Oh, well, I better let you get on with your show, Richard. And
nice to talk technical.
Give everyone a laugh at my expense.
Yeah, well done. Well done for using the wrong track. We expect the video to be popping into the Vobes letterbox very soon.
Thank you. Take care. Good night.
Take care. All the best. There we are, the wonderful Ed Loud. Now, we've got one more video to go, and I'm just trying to work out... Oh, it's Kevin. We're going to play out with a bit of Kevin in a second. Mark Donny McLeod is giving us time code, basically, is what he's saying, which is 24:20. Yeah, the 24-hour clock, which often you can set time code up for your stuff. I don't label anything. I don't do any of that because mine's are short formats, and I filmed everything myself. I know exactly what I filmed. I think this comes from working with film, with actual Super 8 film and 16mm film, where I only film. I don't switch the camera on and just film bit here, bit there, bit there, bit there. I switch the camera on, I shoot the bits I want, I get 10 seconds of this, 10 seconds of that, 10 seconds of that. And I sort of just, in the end, because my turnaround is so quick. And so I'm editing it, within 48 hours at the latest. I mean, usually within 12 hours I've edited the thing. Digital signal on its own track. I would imagine that you can. I can imagine that what you're saying is you can. I still did that, Barry Stevens, in a Bowl Turbo. Yes, I did that in a Bowl Turbo. Still crumbly. Managed it in the end. Cinnamon. Who said they did a cinnamon? Was that you, Barry? Could. What do you do then? Just add a bit of cinnamon powder to the dough at the dough stage, and then bake it and just give it a bit of a flavour. There's going to be a lot of experiments going on. I wish people weren't buying all the flour in the world. Englishman Abroad, spot on. Englishman Abroad says, for sound and video sync, buy a dog clicker about £1. A dog clicker. What's the visual... I don't know, I'm not having had a dog. I don't know what a dog clicker is. What is there a visual click? I mean, you could do something like that, couldn't you? In front, as long as there's a visual thing. And you've obviously got to have both, haven't you? I've got a clapperboard here. It says without knocking and breaking everything. I've got your actual clapperboard. Scene 421, take one. Which is what the clapperboard, of course, is designed for. Barry Stephen, yeah, that's what I did. It's nice. I must try that, actually. That's very good. Bit of cinnamon. Richard, we are on about making shortbread. Oh, right, shortbread. That's the one with lots of sugar in it, isn't it? That's the little shortbread sticks that you get or whatever. And add cinnamon to that. Oh, that's good. What? No clapperboard then? That is it. I just had it. That was the clapperboard. That was the clapperboard. Scene 1, take 421 in my case. Yeah, there we go. Right, let's find out what Kevin's been up to and where he is. He's out on a mysterious walk.
Hello Richard, Kevin here. I've had a little walk out in towards West Lavington, but then I noticed a public footpath sign. And me being the exploring type, thought I'd come and have a look. But I don't know where it goes. But just in front of me, there's a kissing gate, which obviously you would go through, but no. Walkers have created a path past it. Then you've got these trees that have come down, obviously in the storms. That's very sad to see. You've got a duck right down underneath them. Oh, two different sorts there. One's a big oak by the looks of it, and this one has got a blossom on. I don't know what that is. Perhaps somebody will know. But this path leads right the way down the side of this field. So we just have to find out where it goes. We've got a big, it looks like an ash tree up there. But all around me we've got a mixture of, to my left, we've got Hazel. She's a nice girl. Lots of brambles. Very old tree there that's fallen down some years ago. Another one, several trees actually over the time. We've got lots of holly in there. And of course this would be a great place to come if you wanted to pick blackberries later in the year. So we just have to see where this path goes.
There we go, the lovely Kevin there. Slightly abrupt ending there, Kevin. Mind you, did you notice at the beginning of that, did you notice how worried did Kevin look? I mean, I've never seen him look that worried. It's like, Kevin, you're on. That is a man with a lot of worries, Kevin. He does. It's like, let's ask Kevin a technical question. Let's ask Kevin a mathematical question. Oh, bless him. We do like. He does look a bit beardy there, though.
Hello.
Bless him. Anyway, Kevin, I hope you're well. Looking after you. By the way, if anybody wants to buy a gimbal, you know, a gimbal for a phone, Kevin's selling one. He's only used it 12 times. It's a lovely thing. Cost him 135 quid. If anybody wants a gimbal for their filmmaking, this is the man to buy it from. He doesn't look dodgy at all, but no, honestly, he's got a couple of gimbals now, and he just wants to get rid of it. I think he was saying it was about 135 quid when he bought it. He'll probably sell it for a lot less. If you're interested, then have a chat with Kevin, or get in touch with me, richard@vobes.com. I'll put you in touch with Kevin if you are into a gimbal which holds the phone nice and well, it holds the phone like that so that you can keep it static. So there we are. We're looking forward to the next part of your videos, Kevin. I've only got that one that came through, so I haven't had any of the other ones. So do send them in. We'll play them in tomorrow. Fantastic. Well, that's about it for tonight. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming in. That was show 36 in this run since lockdown, without a break. Take care, look after yourselves, and be safe. And I will catch up with you tomorrow. Thank you for all the lovely chat over there. Dave Baker says he's looking for a gimbal. I don't know if Kevin is still out there. Are you still out there, Kevin? Dave Baker is, for one. Send me an email or something, Dave, if Kevin doesn't chat to you immediately, and I'll put you in touch with him, and he can tell you exactly what the model is and what have you. So there we go. Anyway, look after yourself. Thank you so much for all your fun and games tonight. We don't need the phone number now. And we will sign off, and we'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. There we are. I have sent them all. He's sent them all. There we go. Have a word with Dave Baker, Kevin. He's interested in a gimbal. There we are. There's a little love match going on there. Fantastic. Buying and selling as well. Isn't it great? Till next time, thanks for everything. All the best. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye. Now, I wonder if they can hear me typing. It'd be very annoying if they could hear me typing. It's worse if they hear me burping and farting after the show. Phew. Blimey, listen to that. Can you hear the funfair? Crikey, that's loud.